Hello everyone, really nice to see you. And before we start, just to say thank you. You've had some brilliant comments this week, and I understand many of you, particularly like me in my onesie. We may not have too many of them around. My husband was completely horrified that I'd done that, but anyway. Slightly different approach today, because I'm just going to tell you a bit about myself. As you know, many of you, my name is Jill McLaughlin, but my unmarried name is Rigler, R-I-G-L-E-R. My dad was a vicar. On my mother's side, my grandfather was a poacher from Scotland, and my dad's family came into the UK through the southern ports in Dorset, Poole in particular, and some of them went on to America and some of them stayed here. And so I'm an immigrant child. And one of the things I wanted to talk about today was how I became a coach. And it's really interesting because I was brought up in this vicarage with lots of experiences virtually every day of people coming in to talk to my dad about life and coming in to talk to my mum. But the conversations my mum would have would be in the kitchen or, a bit different as people were doing things together. And she was really good at getting people to collaborate and do things together. Many vicars' wives are. So I had these two different models going on, which was really interesting for me. And as I grew up, the part of England that we were living in, it was the East End of London and Hackney, and not great. For instance, I can remember before the age of 5 going to church with my 2 older brothers. So my brother Paul is 2 years older than me, and my brother Chris is 4 years older than me. And I had my first cigarette on the way to church, probably before I was 5. Back in the day, there were these bomb sites in the East End of London, and we would just go and sit in one of the bomb sites, I remember, on the way to church and light up and do all sorts of other naughty things that generally I got blamed for, but hey. So that sort of life with 2 older brothers, I had lots of their friends around, they had their friends around. And so just got to see all sorts of different people. Church had a youth group, church had elderly people's groups, church had young married groups and baby groups. So I just got to meet and have a very privileged role in people's lives just because of who my dad was. And so that sort of acceptance meant I could almost go anywhere. It was like a access all areas card, if you like. And then going to boarding school because of those sorts of behaviours. So my parents sent me to boarding school because I can remember swearing and flicking peas at my dad in front of the bishop. Not good. So they felt I was a bit out of control. Go to boarding school, bit of a punishment I felt at the time. And so it proved. But one thing that boarding school does for you is enable you to, again, talk to anybody, anywhere, gives you this super confident exterior while underneath is all the going on. But now I've just learned if I go into a room, I go and find somebody who's looking like I feel like out of place, don't know what I'm doing. So lots of these experiences and challenges have meant that I've always felt a little bit out of place, particularly boarding school. And as I got older, I realised that there was lots of crackled places in me, which I was really grateful for, but nonetheless needed to find a way of being human. So speak to my ex-husband about that. And obviously the people who suffered the most in this was our children. So finding ways to not inflict my stuff on other people became really important to me. And then, as I've said in other videos, when our son died, my whole world fell apart, and I just didn't know how to be human anymore. I didn't know how to, really keep my mind and my mouth and my heart in one place. It was devastating. But extraordinary then later on to get into a place where our company, after I'd married Charles, then we were invited to come and lead a company that trained coaches, a very well-known company. And so there were loads and loads of courses available. And so Charles took training to be a coach course, and so did I. And it felt like really in so many different areas, because I'd been a nurse, I'd done administration in offices, done all sorts of things over the years, done weeding in vegetable picking, you name it, probably done it. And realised that actually this one-to-one work was something that we've both been doing for a long, long time, and coaching gave us a really great process, and the questions that we'd been asking, we learnt to ask really, really well. And so I now try and ask a question in just 7 words, or 1 word, but, tell me more. Because you don't want to have an impact on that person in front of you as they talk about their experiences, and you're in this incredibly wonderful coaching space. So that's it really. That happened. We took advantage of it. We loved it. We got trained, qualified, and never looked back. So I hope that was interesting. It's interesting for me as I'm talking to just hear all those links that I hadn't really thought about before. So speak to you again.